Hello everybody and welcome back to Generation Park. On today's episode we're going to be adding not one but two animals, and not in two different habitats either. No, we're doing it in the exact same habitat. I've gone for this is a new one for me. So if you remember the second episode with the cheetahs, I had that big nice rock wall which kind of got the whole rock obsession that I've got going on right now. Kind of got that started. Well, guess what? I've continued with it, and I wanted to split the back of that rock wall in half because there's a lot of wasted room back there, and I don't really want to just have some random wall of rocks with nothing going on behind them. So we're going to merge it with even more rocks, only in one little bit there, not the whole habitat. So we're going to have a nice little row of rocks going on the middle section, and we're going to hopefully next episode get another animal or two, maybe three, I'm not too sure yet, in the other little section that we've kind of created here. But in today's episode we've got the Thompson's gazelle and the Sable antelope. I figured we've got a lot of kind of carnivores at the moment. I know gorillas aren't carnivores, but I don't know, I don't look at them the same way I look at the kind of grassland, the herbivores. So I wanted to add something like that. But firstly, before I crack on with the video, I just wanted to say sorry that the video is up a day late. I've been a little bit ill lately. Again, I'm always ill, it sucks. I just had like a pretty sore throat in a way, like quite chesty in a way, which you could probably hear a bit at the moment. It kind of cuts in and out of being chesty. So that's my reasonings for it, and I do apologise. So it's a bit of a new thing that I'm going to be trying to do every episode now. I'm going to try and tell you a few facts about the animals that I'm adding to the zoo, whilst obviously the video is playing in the background, because one thing I want to do with this channel is just kind of, I don't know, expand people's interests into the natural world and animals. The same will go for dinosaurs and stuff when I start playing games with those in, which should be soon with Ark, as I keep saying. It is coming, I promise. But so we're going to start with the Thompson's gazelle. I did a little bit of research before I recorded the actual episode, but not be anything too fancy because I don't want to get all technical here. But so the Thompson's gazelle is found in Africa, as you could probably guess by the theme I'm going for the entrance of the zoo. They're found roughly in about 2 countries in Africa, those being Kenya and Tanzania. Along with being quite a small animal relative to a lot of other animals you find out in the savannah, the Thompson gazelle can actually run around 40 miles an hour, which, and I had to look this up because I haven't got a clue about kilometers an hour. I suck at maths, but which is around 65 kilometers an hour. So they're pretty fast. Obviously not as fast as the cheetah, which probably isn't a good thing that I've put them next to the cheetahs. But hey, there's rocks in between, they'll be fine. So yeah, they're not as fast as the cheetah though. So they do fall prey, and obviously they're quite small, nimble animals, rather than being big, stocky, muscly things. So they do fall prey to things like cheetahs and lions. But one thing they do have on their side is they're very agile. They can do some very fast, like, kind of turns left, right, and zigzagging and stuff, just to put off and duke out a lot of other animals, predators and stuff like that. So along with the Thompson's gazelle, we are also adding the Sable antelope. So I actually based some of this, had to adapt this habitat, let's say, to kind of fit with them for their real life kind of habitat where you find them. So rather than living in just pure grassland, they live in quite like foresty grassland, if that makes sense. So there'd be trees and stuff like that, rather than right out in the open. So I had to add a bit more foliage than I normally would have with a grassland savanna kind of habitat. So they can also be found alongside the Thompson's gazelle, some of the same countries, but these guys are a lot more spread out. They can be found in Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, most of South Africa, Botswana. They're pretty spread out all over the place. They're least concern. So for those of you that don't understand the whole how the measuring of how endangered something is, least concern means that there's, as you can guess, least concern about them going extinct anytime soon. So that means they've got stable numbers. I think it said when I looked it up earlier, roughly 75,000 in the wild, and it's pretty stable, like the name Sable. See what I did? So they're not in any danger of becoming extinct anytime soon, thankfully. They're a lot bigger than the Thompson's gazelle, as you'll see when I add them into this habitat. Getting back to Planet Zoo now, as you can see, I've gone for another kind of custom fence rather than just windows. I'm going to try and get into the habit of doing that. I've watched quite a few people online on YouTube. I'm on a few Facebook groups as well for Planet Zoo, and I just think you can make these habitats look so much nicer using custom fences and things like that. Going back to the actual habitat itself, I didn't want it to be massive because I just think it would look silly having just some huge rock face. I'll probably do that for when we get into a more tundra, alpine-y kind of theme later on in the series, because I feel like that would suit it a lot better, like mountainous and a lot more hilly and things like that. But so I'm going to do something similar to what I did with the gorillas. I'm having just one viewing area rather than loads of separate bits, especially for smaller habitats and stuff. When I eventually get around to doing the big ones for elephants and things like that, I will probably have more than one little viewing platform. I would also like to start doing raised platforms, but I've had a few little plays around on like a little separate sandbox thing where I do a few tests and try and get my designs and stuff like that, but I just can't quite get the grips of it. I need to have a few more goes at making it look nice, but it shouldn't be too long, and I would like to add that, especially when we come around to doing giraffes eventually. Not too sure when that'll be, but it won't be long at all. So I'm actually thinking of branching out from just Africa soon. There's one animal that will definitely be coming up, and that is the lions. So you can't really have an African exhibit, African themed area, sorry, about lions, I feel, because they are, I don't know, the face of the African fauna in my opinion. Well, I guess you could say the same for elephants, but they'll be there too, so who knows, you might mix them. That'd be interesting to see. So there's a few plans, but yeah, I would definitely recommend for anyone who's just bought Planet Zoo, because they've seen about the new DLC that's coming out, the tropical one, which looks amazing, I must say. The sloths, is it Lars gibbon? Or was that, is it a gibbon? Sloths, a new type of monitor. So that should be really cool. But yeah, so for anyone who's just getting into Planet Zoo, I'd recommend using custom fences. So make your own and then duplicate them so you can spread them out. And I promise you, it will look so much better, because when I look back at my old zoos that I played when I first started, it's hilarious, because I used to think, don't get me wrong, they're not awful, but these are so much more better, especially since I started adding these little custom areas and stuff like that. So I'd highly recommend it. I'm massively happy with how this habitat turned out. I think I managed to incorporate both the lifestyle of the Thompson's gazelle in terms of it being quite open, as well as adding a few trees here and there and a few more bushy areas to allow for the Sable antelope to feel at home without going over the top. I think the size is just right. I think any bigger and it would have looked pretty stupid. I'm actually considering, depending on how the other exhibit for the next episode, which I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to put in there yet, but I'm considering adding like kind of a merging area, which, like I said, would be a viewing platform, a raised viewing platform. So let me know what you think about that idea. Thinking of having it just at the bottom of the rocks. I would love to incorporate a walkway on the rocks, but I haven't got a clue how, or if it's possible at all. So if anyone knows, please do let me know in the comments. I would love to know. I have to do a bit of research on that's for sure. I haven't actually gone into that much detail about what the plan is for Generation Park. I briefly touched on it in the first episode, but what I'm hoping to do is practically section off certain biomes and countries and things like that. So, like here, I'm keeping with Africa rather than just all kind of open grassland animals or just tropical animals. Like eventually I'm going to do, like I said, a North American one, so that'd be more alpine-y, I guess, so mountainous. I'm also thinking obviously doing a tropical one, but that'll be based with South America. There's only one group of animals that I'm going to merge regardless of the continent as such, and that is primates, just because I do really want to do a primate house. So I've got a bit of inspiration from a zoo that I used to go to a lot called Chester Zoo in England. I think it's the biggest one we have over here actually, but it is huge, honestly. It takes you a fucking whole day to get around that place. It's really good as well, but they've got a walk-through area right at the entrance pretty much, and it's just a monkey house, and they got spider monkeys, types of macaques, mandrills and stuff like that, all in this one house with outdoor bits as well. But you can walk through and you can have a look at the insides, and then you can go around. Once you've gone through it, you can go look at the outsides and stuff like that. So I definitely want to incorporate something like that. And obviously, as you can tell by the channel name and how, if you've ever seen any of my old videos, that primates and monkeys, and especially chimpanzees, are just my absolute favourites. So yeah, that's the kind of plans for this though. I do really need to do some work on guest amenities, but I just feel like it's a much more interesting video doing the habitats and exhibits and things like that. But if you want to see that, please do let me know. I'm a bit stuck on whether to record that or just do it off camera, because it could be interesting, but it's just not an awful lot to talk about. Like, you know, what can I give you facts about for fucking food? You know, McDonald's open on this date, in this state. I don't know. There's not really a lot I could say. Or like I said in the past, I could do YouTube shorts instead, which I really want to do. So we finally got these little beasties into the habitat. They look amazing. It's the first time I've actually seen them in game from what I can remember. I might have seen the Sable antelope in the tutorials, but it's the first time I've actually used them in one of my own zoos, along with the Thompson's gazelle. I love the detail on these animals, and like going back to Zoo Tycoon days and stuff like that, I thought that was great. But wow, the detail that has gone into these models and stuff like that, absolutely stunning. A recurring theme you might notice throughout these videos, every time I add these little viewing areas, I like to leave a gap between that and the actual main path that everyone will be walking on to get from place to place. Amongst that, I like to add scenery and foliage that blend in and fit with the habitat that you'll be looking into. So for instance, with this, I wouldn't be using tropical stuff because it's a grassland. But at the same time, with it being grassland, I do not want to go overboard with trees and bushes. I went overboard with grass though, which, you know, I will admit, I'll put my hands up for that one. I'd just like to use this little part of the video just to let you know that I do now have a Twitter account dedicated to this channel, because I never normally use Twitter. In fact, I've only just downloaded it and set up an account. But yep, so over there what you'll find is just updates. So for instance, if a video is going to be late, or when a video has been released, and soon enough I'm going to do a few little sneak peeks and things like that. That pretty much wraps it up for this episode, guys. I would like to say a massive thank you for watching and getting this far. It really does mean a lot to me. As always, if you could just let me know in the comments what you thought, what you want next, and I will gladly add whatever you want into the zoo, as long as it's possible, of course. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait for the next episode. Once again, sorry this one was late, but I feel like my reasonings were fair. But as always, guys, you've been amazing. Adios.